Okay guys, got something a little different for you today. I used to be big into die-cast customizing, 64 scale stuff. Uh, I started in 1998 and I probably haven't touched nothing in, oh man, I'd say at least 5, 6, 7 years. Uh, I got pretty good at it. I think the more you do, the better you get. My customs, they always had to roll, they always had to be lower than what they were, and I always had to change the wheels to make them a true custom for me. This is just a few in my collection. I have a bunch. I've sold some of my best. I wish I still had them now, but anyway, I thought you guys might get a kick out of this. You'd probably never know by looking at these how much work is actually in them. I was a jeweler for 4 or 5 years of my life, so I was pretty good at doing little intricate stuff, and that really helped contribute to my customizing. I even used a lot of my jewelry tools and my flex shaft wheel and all that stuff to do some of this stuff. But I got a pile of parts in there and tons of slide trays and just parts and pieces everywhere. I've even got slide trays full of project vehicles that I don't even know if I'll ever get back to these ever again, but I keep thinking one day I will. But I used to mainly just mess with them in the wintertime when there was snow and ice and too cold to work on the cars out in the garage or outside. So it's been so long. I've been out of the scene. I don't really remember some of the names of these cars. But back when I started in '98, it was very few and far between on customizers, and then in the early 2000s, it kind of hit a pretty good high, and there was quite a few forums online, and I was members to them, and there was always contests going on and stuff. But I learned a lot messing with them, and it really helped having project cars. I spent a lot of money on cars. I'd go buy, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8 cars just to bring them home and tear them apart for parts and pieces. So I spent a ton of money, but I was enjoying it at the time. Now they pretty much just sit in the spare bedroom in a case and are no good for nothing. But every once in a while I'll get them out and kind of clean them off a little bit with a brush and look at them and then put them back up. But anyway, I'll go over a few. I'll start with some of these project cars. This is actually a Hot Wheels Chevy truck, and it comes as a fleet side. I can't get the camera to focus. That's the Hot Wheels 56 Flash Shider step side bed, and then I have Maisto Pro Rods wheels on it. All my customs, it was my thing. They always had to roll. They were of no use to me if they didn't roll. So anyway, this is a Poison Pinto, and this was actually a flea market find, and it was been played with. It was that lime green color. I think I had one when I was a kid in the late 70s, but I actually painted that with fingernail polish and then used automotive clear, and I hate the color. So if I ever get back into them, this car will definitely get a repaint. But I couldn't tell you what the engine's out of. It was out of the parts box. The two turbos came off of two, I can't even remember the brand, but it was import tuner cars in the early 2000s. They were all over the shelves at Walmart, and they always had a nice chrome turbo. And I remember buying 10 or 12 of those at a time just for the turbos, and they had some nice seats in them, and they always had NX Express microsplottles in them. And they had the logo on the bottle and everything, but I used my jeweler's tools and actually notched the hood out for the air intakes for the turbo. And I've got a billet style looking grill that goes in there, and I Frenched the headlights out, and I'll put some little crystals in there that you get at the craft department at Walmart. I always try to use crystals when I can in my cars just to give them a little bit more detail. But this is a Maisto Pro Rods Nova. It's got Dub City torque thrust style wheels on it. Every one of these cars I painted myself. Sometimes I use spray paint. Most of the time it was nail polish with nail polish thinner mixed together, shot through an airbrush, and then I use automotive car clear through a touch-up gun. And I'd usually paint, 10, 15 bodies at a time. I've actually got a lot of bodies in there that are already painted. They just need assembly. I remember going to a flea market one time on a vacation, and there was I don't remember what brand it was, but that car, it was a 69 SS Nova, and the trunk opened, the doors opened, the hood opened, and it had those factory Nova louvers for the SS. Man, this camera won't focus. Anyway, I grafted those into that Nova hood just to get a little bit more detail. But anyway, this was a Jesse James edition 57 Chevy wagon. Man, this won't focus. This is irritating. But I put a Fuelie V8 in it. If I remember right, it had a straight 6. The last car I ever customized was this one. This is a Baja Breaker. This is a 4-wheel drive, big die-cast chassis, Ford van. I chopped the shit out of that thing. I did the graphics and everything. I did a custom grill, custom lower bumper. It has Dub City. They were off like a 427 Cobra, so they look like the Cobra wheels. I did a custom one-piece open back window. Might not be able to see it, but there's speakers in there, like subwoofers. And anyway, a guy had this on Hot Wheels, their own website, the actual Hot Wheels website. They have a section just for customizing. And a guy put on there that he wanted to have an online contest, and it had to be Ford related. So I did the Ford van, and I actually won by voting with that Ford van. So that's pretty cool. I have entered a couple of Hot Wheels Customs contests, but it was years ago, and I did bring home 5 trophies from one show. I took about 12 cars, though. This is a flea market find. This is an old Lesney Matchbox. It's a Studebaker Lark wagon. The roof actually slides on it, which is really cool. This thing was road hard and put up wet, man. It was like a baby blue color. And I lowered it and stripped the paint off of it, repolished the glass, actually sanded and repolished the glass. But I put stereo equipment in the back. And that's just out of the parts box. No telling what kind of vehicle it come out of, because I can't remember nothing. This is another Jesse James edition car that I painted and lowered and put wheels on. Turbocharged engine. I Frenched the headlights and used the crystals in there. I think that's a Maisto, the little Mercury. I put moon discs on it. And cut a hole in the hood and put some injection out of it. Got a little chrome tack on the dash. I think a pretty sweet stock looking steering wheel in it. And this is a Maisto little bug, and I completely sanded smooth everything, like no headlights, door handles, anything. And I actually made it a split back window. I thought that was pretty cool. It has Dub City wheels on it. This is a Hot Wheels, and it's actually supposed to be a truck. And I used the Hot Wheels, I don't remember what it's called, but it's a 32 Ford Roadster, and I used the back half on it. I did have a license plate underneath there, but it fell off. And I wired the engine. And it's got Maisto Pro Rods wheels on the back, and that's Johnny Lightning spokes off of the T-bucket on the front. Pretty sure that grill shell and headlights is from a Matchbox Model A. There's no telling what the injection unit come out of. It's hard for me to remember what parts and pieces come out of what, but man, I stripped the crap out of a lot of cars. I'd go to Walmart and spend quite a bit of money on cars just to bring them home and tear them apart, and it was the $3 to $5 stuff that was a little bit more detailed. This is another flea market find. I don't remember what brand that is. It was pretty rough. It's like a touring car, and it was all original looking. And I built my own chassis out of styrene tubing, and put a flathead in it. It was just parts box stuff, and it just went together. This is another flea market find. It had been played with. I think I had one of those as a kid, and I mixed it up a little bit on it and used wheels and stuff, but I actually did the wood grain on it. This one's pretty cool. This is a Johnny Lightning, and it was an ambulance, and I think it was called the Meat Wagon, but it's like a Pontiac or an Oldsmobile or something, four-door sedan. Like the back door's partially open, so I ended up going there and sanding it so it doesn't even have door lines. But I used a Johnny Lightning, I think it was a 41 Willys front clip on it, and I built it actually tilts. I built it out of a paper clip and some aluminum tubing. And the engine, I couldn't tell you what I got it out of, and the headers and stuff. But I made it a tilt front, two-tone painted it. But the front clip, when you tilt it open, doesn't even hit the counter. It stays off of it. This is one of the ones that I won one of the Hot Wheel contests with. The fenders, I can't remember what they're off of, but it took two of them because it only has two fenders on it, and I turned the others that are on the rear around backwards and molded them into the body. And then the whole front section of it is from a different car. So it's like a long style coupe, I guess you'd say. A little Cyclone there was, it's a Johnny Lightning. I lowered the crap out of it, put some Maisto Pro Rods wheels on it. It was actually two-tone when I got it out of the package. It was black on the bottom with the Cyclone logo and red on the top. So I taped off the black on the bottom to keep the logo and then painted the rest of it black. It does have a turbocharged custom engine in it that's out of the parts box, but I don't know what it is. But it is a challenge to lower a Hot Wheel, it really is, but I kind of got it dialed in and figured out how to go about it. You pretty much just, especially if you're using real rubber tires, you use aluminum tubing, which you get at any hardware store, and you cut the tubing off, and I use JB Quick, and glue it down to the chassis, and then you slide your new wheel with axle through it, and then put the wheel on the other side. I actually knocked the grill off that, and the front wheel's loose on that one a while ago. That was another flea market find. It was just kind of a mild custom. It was just basically a repaint. I put some crystal headlights in it and changed the wheels, and I always use the Sim trim colors for the interiors to give them a little bit more realism. And I put some subwoofers in the back of it too. I use little crystals, red crystals for taillights too. I forgot about that. This one, if I remember right, the back, the trunk, and the roof was a panel that opened completely up, and I molded it all shut and did the back window and everything in it. That's a custom engine. It's on a different chassis, and I cannot remember what chassis that is. The header on the other side got knocked off when I picked it up a while ago, so I'll have to glue it back on. I don't know what that grill come out of. I just can't remember stuff. It was too long ago, but these are just mild customs. I remember that one's called a tail dragger. The roof, convertible top, is actually from a Johnny Lightning 56 Chevy convertible. It lifts off to show the interior detail. But these are just some mild ones that, they ain't got a whole lot of work in them. I always liked that little Torino, that Johnny Lightning Torino. I lowered it, put Maisto Pro Rods wheels on it. That's a Hot Wheels 40 coupe, and I put a convertible top on it, and it lifts off. And I think I got subs in the back of it as well. But anyway, I just thought I'd post a video. It's kind of neat stuff. I don't really customize anymore. I keep thinking one day I will. I've got a giant mess of parts and pieces in there. But I don't know, maybe one of these days in the future I might get iced in and I may go in there and decide to do something. Hell, who knows? This place is a mess. This is what I call my hobby room. And it's just a messy desk in here, but this is where I used to build my stuff. But, got everything labeled and parts and pieces, and I've got project cars in there and wheels with them. I mean, look at this mess of wheels. I even have engines in a couple of them. these aren't regular Hot Wheels and wheels. These are like real rubber tires and higher end stuff. Kind of a waste of money. They're not telling how much money I got in here that I stripped apart all these cars. But anyway, I thought you guys might get a kick out of that.